Hello and welcome to Wizards, Warriors, and Words, a fantasy writing advice podcast. I'm Jed Herne, author of Fires of the Dead, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, starting with Rob.
It's me. Hello, I'm Rob Hayes, author of, we'll go with this one, Along the Razor's Edge.
One of my faves. Michael R. Fletcher.
Hi, I'm Michael R. Fletcher, author of books, co-writer of Norylska Groans with that guy there, Clayton.
Dirk Ashton.
I'm Clayton. I'm Dirk Ashton, author of the Paternus trilogy, and I don't know any of these people.
We're all strangers. We actually kidnapped Dirk for this recording, so I hope you guys appreciate him. And we are joined today by special guest Clayton Snyder. Clayton, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Clayton Snyder. I'm author of Demons Inc. and a slew of other books and co-writer of Norylska Groans.
Yes, so this episode will be a really cool one. We've been meaning to have you on for a while, Clayton, to talk about the co-writing process. Because, we have not talked about co-writing before. For listeners who aren't aware, Norylska Groans was co-written by you and Michael Fletcher, and seems to be doing quite well. So do you want to maybe kick off by just talking a little bit about... actually, before we get into that, I've got some Patreon shout-outs that I just remembered. So... Thank you to our new patrons, Dylan and John, for helping support the show. Very much appreciate it. For the rest of you listening, if you want to help support us on Patreon and get access to cool bonuses like advanced reader copies of our books for free before they come out, go to patreon.com/Wizards Warriors Words. Link is also in the show notes.
Is that like a polite way of saying if you're not supporting us, fuck off?
Yeah, basically. Thanks, Mike. I love this good cop, bad cop routine we've got going here. Very effective. Very effective. No, we do appreciate all our patrons. And yeah, if you're not listening, that's cool. We know that everyone doesn't have, obviously, the finances to support it. But if you do want to support it, it does help us out and you do get some cool rewards. So thanks to the guys who are on it. Mike and Clayton, do you want to tell us a little bit about the book that you have co-written together?
What's it about?
Clayton, would you like to launch into this?
Oh, every time.
Just dump it on you.
So Norylska Groans is a grimdark noir. It is about these two people, Gendy Antonov, who is he is a ex-soldier. He's just kind of trying to make his way through the world. He's got a family on the way. And he's at the start of the book, he loses his job and he starts looking for other work, and he ends up with this kind of crime family that there are several families that run the city more or less. And then on the flip side of that is Katyushka Leonova, and she is from a disgraced family. She's trying to better her position in life with her fiance, and so she takes a job in the police force. And she ends up basically being volunteered for a job she wasn't expecting. And the rest of the book is just kind of how these two lives collide.
Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was a pretty succinct description. It's two sort of we started with two very distinct storylines, completely separated, and then basically train wrecked them.
Well, that's what I'd love to talk about.
Is it like a bit of a Russian setting? There's like the title, like it sounds quite Russian to me.
Yeah, it's basically Russia circa 1910, nice. But with some very strange magic.
Is it steampunkish? Is it steampunkish technology wise or just magic-y?
I mean, it's steampunk in that Russia circa 1910 was pretty damn close to steampunk, I guess. But it's not actually a steampunk novel.
No.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the magic system in it, if that doesn't give away any spoilers?
You're the guest, so I'm going to keep throwing shit at you.
Fair. So the magic system, without spoiling too much, is basically there are these people called Vinificum. And what they can do is take memories and personality traits from one person, implant them into a stone, and then that stone is able to be worn by anyone, and they pick up those traits.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
And the idea is
Cool.
so when you so it's personality traits and or memories. And anything that's sort of taken and put in the stone, you are missing. So say you're a particularly brave person. A beneficum could harvest your bravery, store it in stone. You are now a coward, but if somebody else picks up that stone, they have access to your bravery.
Wow.
And so any personality trait, and there are literally hundreds of personality traits, can be taken from one person, stored in stone to be used by another. And then same with memories. If you're any memory created while you're touching the stone is stored in the stone. So the second you put that stone down, it's gone.
Wow.
Whatever you've been doing all day while you were touching that stone, wearing it on a necklace, whatever, it's gone from you. Somebody else comes along, picks up that stone. They can remember everything that you did. They have access to all the memories created during that time.
Oh, do they also, are those cumulative of the person before and the person before and the person?
Yeah. So if a whole bunch of different people have been touching the same stone, there's just a mad chaos of memories, which can lead to like personality breakdowns, sort of internal psychological warfare. It gets pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my
How about
gosh.
skills? What if you're like Rob and you're like a wushu master and somebody takes those away from him and puts them in a rock and shoves it up your ass? Are you suddenly a wushu master?
But yeah, we actually did I don't know if
I mean, this is a Clay Snyder, Mike Fletcher book. Come on.
Right. As far as I know, there are no anal bead stones. So
that would seem an effective
far as
way
you
of
know,
running
that
it.
means you're not ruling it out.
Disappointed in you two.
but yeah, skill stones are a thing because muscle memory is definitely, you know, it's part of something that gets stored in your brain whether you realize it or not. So it's a reflex, and it's
cool.
One of those things that it's not something the Kievan oh, I can't say that word would actually use, more so the Altan Ordu. So
yeah, sort of different countries or empires kind of have their own spin on this stone magic. The Altan Ordu, they call it stone sorcery, and they kind of use it a little differently than the Kievans do. And so the very same magic, same basic principles, but you can kind of spin them different ways. So yeah, just to give them all different flavors.
I got to say, I'm so jealous of you guys for coming up with that magic system, because that sounds awesome. And I wish I'd thought of that.
It is. We're awesome.
You guys are awesome.
Was it very much a collaborative effort coming up with magic system? Like, did you just sort of like spitball it between yourselves, or did one of you sort of come up with the bare bones of it and the other one just sort of expand? Or
I think 90% of it was Mike, and then if there was a way for me to break the rules, that's what I did. So
yeah, he took sort of like my skeletal idea and then started like going like, yeah, but what if someone does this?
Nice.
And it was like, oh fuck. So like the stun sticks, which is basically a memory stone, a malfunctioning memory stone on the end of a cudgel. And you fucking whack someone with it, and it just kind of sucks out like the last 30 seconds or so of their memories when it hits them, and they're like, what's going? Oh fuck, am I in a fight? What's happening?
That is
so
really cool.
That stuff was Clayton was basically fucking with my
that's awesome.
The beautiful thing that I made.
So let's talk a bit about the beginnings of this process. So who reached out to who? Like, what was the initial discussions like, kind of leading to this? Just what was the origin story of this collaboration?
I'm boggled by the idea of actually two people writing, truly co-writing. Just I just don't get how it works.
So Mike approached me really close to this time last year, I think it was, and basically said he had a terrible idea and wondered if I'd be interested in it. And of course, I don't really turn down terrible ideas. So we got started. We really just kind of took a month, I think it was, and spitballed ideas and threw things at the wall until something stuck. And then once we started, we laid out the long form of the plot. We each took a character, and then as we went, we would write three chapters each. And then we would go back and edit each other's chapters.
So you flip. So these are checkerboarded. These are flip flops. So Mike could do 3, you do 3, Mike could do 3, or are you both writing the exact same 3 chapters?
Well, it would be 3 chapters of the same character. Yeah. So I would write Gendy, and he would write Katyushka, and then we would continue on that course. So, but we would stop every 3 chapters just to edit and then make sure we were on track for the plot. If not, we would adjust to where we needed and then just go forward with the next 3.
But one of you would have to go first, though, right?
Yeah, it wasn't really much of a debate because we wanted to start the book with a kind of a gut punch. So I think, and we decided Gendy's chapter, his first chapter, should have been the first chapter of the book. But
okay. So like Mike wrote that chapter, then gave it to you. So then you did a little rewrites and wrote your character's perspective. Well, and then it goes back and forth like that.
Initially, the 2 stories kind of started separate enough that there wasn't a lot of interaction. Like when well, there's no interaction between the characters because we're getting 2 storylines going, right? Okay. So at first it was like, by chapter 6, we're going to have something where there's some interaction. At that point, we need to be synced up better. Mm-hmm. But like, it was like, he'd write for 3 of Jen's chapters. I'd write 3 Kat's. I'd edit his, he'd edit mine. We'd sort of make suggestions back and forth, until we got close to the point where the characters were going to start colliding. We were very much sort of separate, still like working on like plotting stuff together, with an idea as to where we needed to be by whatever chapter, but it wasn't until it got tight, like 70-80% of the way through, when the storylines started sort of running into each other. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like the last 20% was, we kind of had to stop a lot more often and go like, okay, where are we at? How are we going to end this? How do we sort of like work out the final denouement? Who's surviving? Are we killing everybody? Like,
who gets to kill off which character?
Yeah.
Did you guys use like live Google Docs so you could like actually look at what the other person was writing at any time?
No, we just used Word Online. So we had all of our documents were in a shared folder, but
This is so fascinating to me. It's just like such a cool discovery writing process in the sense of like, you don't know what the other person's going to do for the 3 chapters. And then you're like, oh, that totally changes what my character is going to have to do. And it feels way more organic. And like, it feels like this is the way that any story with 2 protagonists should be written. Because like then they're both truly exploring their own.
That little kids game. You played that kids game where you drew like the head, and then the next person drew like the shoulders, and the next person drew the body, and you couldn't like look at what the other person was drawing, and then you'd sort of like unfurl the paper right at the end, and you'd have this mismatch of like 17 different styles of character drawn or whatever.
That's Norylska Groans right there.
And then you put that on the front cover, and that's your artwork. Nice. That's really interesting. So were there times where what you were reading from the other person was dramatically changing your understanding of this world or your understanding of where the story needed to go next?
Yeah, I think there were a couple times when I would read something of Mike's and leave a comment like "holy shit," or he would do the same thing, where we just kind of had these revelations while we were writing that this is what needs to happen, or this is so damn cool, I need to incorporate it, that sort of thing. So
yeah, and we had, I lost track of how many endings. I think we started like chapter 1, we were like, okay, this is how the book's gonna end. And then 6 chapters in, we're like, oh shit, that was cool. Okay, I was wrong. That's not how the book's gonna end. It's gonna end like this now. We're like, okay, we keep going. And then be like, you know what? That was really cool what you just did there. But it changes how we got to end the book now. And I think it was maybe, I don't know, like 4 chapters or so from the end where we actually kind of went, oh, click. That's how it's gonna end.
Got it.
Then it's like, how the fuck do we get there?
In 4 chapters as well. Because Mike, you normally like to have a very strong idea of the ending before you begin, right?
Yeah, I usually I almost always sort of know the last scene. I have like the final scene in my head before I start writing. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to get there, but this was one of those cases where I had no fucking idea when we started, because
Yeah.
I feel like I couldn't. It wasn't just me. We had to both get there.
Mm. So what are you guys doing to try to keep continuity between you? Like before you start writing, have you spent some time together establishing the rules of the world and kind of the key characters and key players in it? Or are you just sort of, kind of making continuity fixes as you go through and edit each other's work? Like what's the process there? Clayton, do you want to maybe start off?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything there that you had mentioned. Like I said, we had started and took about 3 to 4 weeks, really putting the world together and the characters and the plot overall. And then as we wrote, we adjusted for each other. We adjusted storylines, we adjusted world building, whatever needed to be kind of corrected as we went. So it was just this kind of puzzle with moving pieces as we wrote.
Yeah, we had a world building document, which we started with, which sort of like broke down the magic system, explained how it all worked. Because I tend to be very rule based magic,
Sure.
Hard magic. And we had a little history in there, but we'd add to the world book as we were writing, because we both tend to sort of I think research on the fly. So as like we discovered new Russian sayings, or like, oh, here's a cool Russian word for donuts, we'd throw them into the world building book so that we both had access to it, and we could go like, oh, okay, donuts. Like, so now some of the two different characters can use some of the same slang. Just kind of helps bind the story into that one location.
Sure.
So do you have Russian words, like actual Russian words in it as well?
Yeah. I think Mike more so than me. A lot of what I used were curses. So yeah, is fucking Russian. That's my thing. So.
Russians
Are the actual Russian words, or have
actually,
you murdered them like you did with the German?
No. We actually got some Russian help this
Nice.
time, so they should hopefully be accurate.
a lot of Russians actually say fuck a lot.
It's a universal
As
curse
opposed,
at this
as
point.
opposed to say Russian, as
Kind of
opposed
works
to
in all
say
settings.
it's the Russian version.
All right, I think we're going to pause this discussion here and then maybe do a part 2 of co-writing, because I have plenty of other follow-up questions about this. So thank you everybody for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Our second part of this will come out next week. Thanks again to our new patrons, Dylan and John, and to our high tier patron, Daniel Henderson. For the rest of you, again, if you want to check out Patreon, just go to patreon.com/Wizards Warriors Words. Link in the show notes. Rob, do you want to mention the thing that we were talking about before?
Sure.
With the
Yeah.
Patreon?
So at the moment, I have added. Is it up now? Yeah, it'll be up now by now, John. Right. So yeah, there's my short story, The Century Blade, which is a Mortal Techniques short story. It's going to be releasing officially in about 2 months' time, just before my main book. But for now, if you're a Patreon, you can go and read it early and for free.
Cool.
That's it. So yeah. Oh, and also I should mention we've got Norylska Groans also on Patreon. The ARC version of that was uploaded there. So some good perks there if you are a member of our Patreon. So yeah, everyone who's already a member, you've got access to that. And if you're not a member and you want to check it out, there's a link in the show notes. So thank you everybody for listening or watching, and we will see you next time. Bye everybody.
Bye.